Hello, and welcome back to Chats with Chelsi. You're in for a treat. We're continuing our conversation with Adrienne Cole Johnson, who's based right here in Richmond. She's the co-founder of the Artisan Cafe, Richmond Night Market, and a few other things. So let's learn more about when she knew it was time for a team, how she continues to find success, and how you can be all that God has called you to be. Let's tune in. That you and Melody, so you all have been business partners for years now, yet you realized that you needed a team. Tell us what that moment was when you realized that it had to be more than you two and your best practices for building a team.
Yeah, so when we started, it was 2011, and so Nia was here. I'm gonna say Melody had Nia. Nia may have been, she's 10 now. She may have been 3 or 4. I was still single, free, no children, right? So I could go to 5 and 6 events, handle the meeting. I could do it all. My energy was high. So we were able to balance each other out.
Right.
She was working back and forth in DC, and I was still traveling a bit, but life was different. Fast forward to our quarterly events that were amazing. Fast forward to us having an Artisan cooperative in Stony Point Mall, 7-day-a-week operation. And at that point, Naomi had come into our lives. And so Naomi was maybe 4 or 5 months when we opened the store.
Wow.
And I was like, Newborn. Josh and I are still together. We're dating, not even engaged yet. We are, so it's a lot happening. But we were like, okay, let's check out this pace. We had the store. It was supposed to be a pop-up for, I think, 6 months. Ended up being there for almost 2 years.
Wow.
And so, I know. And so it became a moment where the mall was going under new management. And so we had decisions to make about, do we stay, do we not? And we just said, you know what? It's been a great run. We've done amazing things. We have great relationship and great, a good name out there for ourselves. But is this where we really want to be right now? And so that helped us to decide to close the store, the Artisan Cafe store, but then explore what do we really need for moving forward. And so at that point, Artisan Cafe transitioned to a bit more of doing vendor markets, but more so partnering with festivals or conferences that really wanted someone else to manage that vendor experience. And so we started doing that in Richmond, but more so even outside of town too. So it wasn't a 7-day-a-week operation. It wasn't as intense,
right?
But we were still able to offer the same service that we were providing. And so the night market, while it's coming to life this year, it's been a work in progress.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about this years ago. We sealed the deal last year. So again, it's the background work that happens. But we were like, hey, we both have full-time jobs now. We both are mommies. Melody still travels extensively.
Right.
My roles of mother and now wife are into place. But we say, we've met some amazing people along our journey that also have dreams and goals. How can we leverage that team, for individuals who see the vision of the Richmond Night Market? So very naturally, Tony, who's our creative director, she was one of our first artists at the Artisan Cafe. She was a perfect fit, Sion, Sion is a heavy hitter. She is from Richmond.
Okay.
Recently moved back from Ghana, where she did a festival. I think she said her first one may have been a couple hundred. The last one that she did was at least, I think, about 30,000 people. Yes. So again, yes, more on that. So again, it was just kind of knowing your, right? I need to do the same. But it's just like knowing your circle, knowing who does what, and knowing where interests may lay, and just building a team in that way. And the other thing is, because I think Melody will share, she's also a layered woman. And so while we show up and we do amazing work together, she has dreams and goals of her own. And so just putting in the systems, having systems in place to make sure that things are going smoothly.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's something I think we didn't do as much earlier because we were so used to just doing it ourselves, right? We get into the habit of, especially when you have a spirit of excellence and you want to see things happen a certain way.
Right.
But after a while, it's like, can I keep this up? Do I want to keep this up? There are things that I can do, but can someone else do it better? And can I maybe even transition and just focus my energy to something where, a place where I know I need to be focused at. So, yeah.
So many nuggets in that. One of the last things you shared that is, I believe, vital for every woman, whether you're an entrepreneur, stay-at-home mom, domestic engineer, whatever you want to call it, is learning where to place your energy.
Yes.
And how to maximize your gifts.
Yes.
Versus having a team, having a tribe, or outsourcing.
Yes.
Because it comes a time, and I've been working through this, of learning I can't do it all.
Yes, indeed.
And then not only that, erasing, and I mean that, erasing the myth that my way is always the best way. And so it's so amazing just to hear that for these are your babies, your passion projects, and that you all have opened your, the home of your passion projects to say, we're going to let some other people in, make sure they're connected with the vision, the mission of it, yet maybe they can do such and such better than I can, and let me focus on where my passion really is in that.
Yes, and let me say, it's a process. It has. I'll share one of my first babies when I came to Richmond was an event called Wind Down. It's a monthly social. I think this year will be year 8 or 9, and I started it with Karsten Glover, DJ Prolific, who's local. And it has been a process, but I literally just this year have pulled back a bit more. First time saying it publicly even. But it was one of those things that started and grew, and, we've met our goals of Wind Down, right? It still happens. It's an organic first Friday monthly social event. But Karsten really manages it on his own. But I'm always co-founder. And I can always go, and I can always pour into it. But I said, wow, how does it align with where I'm currently at, and am I just holding space? Is there someone else that would love to host an event like this, And so it takes it's a process with letting go, and I get it. But for me, it served me very well to do so.
Oh, that's good too.
Yeah.
One of the things you touched on earlier, you took some time to assess your life, everything that you were involved in, Adrienne, and you cut back on some things.
Yes.
Give us some insights into that process, and if there have been any moments where you missed what you left behind. What you let go.
Okay. Yeah, I love your questions. No to the last question, though.
Okay.
There is not much that I miss.
Good. Okay.
It's not. I'm grateful for that. I believe in being just like genuine and intentional with yourself. So I see people often, and people probably don't know that I'm as introverted as I am, right? So my personal time is very important, and I protect it often. And I would say even most recently, I often go through times where I may just kind of fall back from social media for a while, create a bit more just quiet time for myself, just to listen, kind of listen to that rhythm. And I think a lot of times when you listen to yourself, the answers are there, and then it's for us to make the following steps to live into that. So I've been doing a better job of not just listening to myself, but really honoring what I hear in those moments. And so often certain projects come up, it may be that you've been serving on the board for a few years and you've done what you set out to do. Let's close the door. There may be relationships, that have served yourself well and the other person or the other group well, but it may have evolved into something different. What does it look like to maybe change what that looks like for you? So just really looking at how you spend your time, how you give your energy, what you put into, what kind of effort you put into things, and just prioritizing it all. I go through that on a yearly basis. And sometimes there's no change, and sometimes it's significant change. So last year there was significant change. The last 2 years have been. A little bit before that it wasn't. And so I just always just give myself time to at least explore it. Because otherwise you just kind of keep going and going, and you're busy and something occupies your space, and you may not really sit to think, well, wow, am I really like I mentioned earlier, am I really where I should be? Am I doing what I should be? You know, am I getting closer to my God-given purpose in life?
Right.
And whenever I ask myself that question, it makes it a little easier to do what I need to do. In
the community, Adrienne, you are known as a catalyst. Why do you think people refer to you as a catalyst in the community, in Richmond?
Wow. That's even just humbling to hear, you know. Doing community work is what's the right word? It's so intense, you know. So I work at Peter Paul. We're based in the East End. It's a lot of changes happening in the East End right now that affect the families that I love so dearly to the core, you know. And so every day in my role, I think about what can I do? What am I doing to best serve our youth and our families? Often asking myself, what can I do differently, you know, and did I give that my best shot? And oftentimes there are critical moments for myself when I say, well, you can do something different to put a parent in position or to put a youth in position to speak for themselves, you know. So a part of my platform building is how do I not give voice, but really to help expand voice for community. You know, and so sometimes that might be if I'm invited to a meeting, bringing a parent with me to speak for themselves.
Oh.
You know, it might be if someone has asked me to serve on a contract. We just had this happen this past Friday. Asked me to come and speak to a group, and they said they had a budget. So I said, well, we have trained parent facilitators. Will you pay them to facilitate? And they did. You know, and so where are ways that I can kind of expand my sphere of influence to those that I say I work with, right? So that they can have more opportunity and capacity for themselves. So I think that's the catalyst bit, you know. It's more so beyond my profession or my life's goal, right? And it's more so about how can I really make impact for the families that I work with. It's near and dear to my heart. And it's so interesting because some people are like, what? You got a full-time job? You work at Peter Paul? I don't publicly, as far as social media, post about it a lot because it is so personal. You know? It's not something that's for display, you know, some of the work that we do. But I know that the people and the neighbors and the folks that I love with, I know that they know I'm right there with them. Yeah.
So let's go back a little bit. There was an opportunity for you to be paid, and you said no. Pay my parent trainers. That may be one of the most powerful examples of you being a catalyst from our conversation today, because when there was an opportunity for you to gain, you said no. Let me from a monetary perspective empower. And so I just say thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think that's what it's about. You know, are we putting in programs? Are we building capacity? You know? So when there's a time that I'm not working at Peter Paul or we don't have the knockout staff that we have now, who's managing the organization? You know, are there individuals from the communities that are not just volunteering but that are getting paid to do the work, as we often get paid to do the work? Are we ensuring that opportunities that we're afforded, because we know there's look, I'm just thinking about all of the different layers that you go through,
right.
You know, but are we truly just giving opportunity and kind of pushing the envelope a bit more, you know, because and actually it was just this past Friday, we had 2 parents who facilitated our parent workshops at a local church, and you know, they got paid to do it. They were so excited, and they've done it at the center but not outside of the center yet. And so for me, in talking to them, that was a light bulb moment. Like, you have this training, you could do this training anywhere, you can take it and run with it, and I will sit down with you and put on my entrepreneurship hat and show you how to do it, right? So it's just being creative outside of the traditional things that we talk about, even in the community, even in social work, and making sure that we're always holding space for those who need it most.
Adrienne, what has been the most important lesson for you in your career that you hold with you today?
In my career, wow. That's a good one. And what I'm going to say is going to sound so simple, but I'm going to say, go for it. Go for it. Chelsi, when I tell you, most of my professional experiences, on paper, I was not qualified. Okay? When I started as a hall director in ODU, you were supposed to have a bachelor's degree. I was still a senior in college. Got the job. When I took the RHD position at Cornell University, you're supposed to have a master's and like 3 years of experience. I got the job. I applied, I interviewed, I got it. When I, reached out to New Visions, New Ventures for that amazing internship, they had never done that before. They had never worked with an MSW out of town. They had a macro focus. Asked, what do I need to do? I got the paperwork together. I went to WashU. I went to them. I had the opportunity. When I worked on Capitol Hill, I had never done that before. I had no idea what I was going to do. I just knew I wanted to work with Cynthia McKinney. I got the job. I ended up as the chief of staff.
I know.
So you see what I'm saying? I don't say it just to say, oh, go for it. I mean, go for it. And believe in yourself in the process. Never tell yourself no. If somebody tells you no, let someone else tell you no. But do everything that you need to do to set yourself up to get exactly what it is that you want for your life. In most cases, I strongly believe it will happen. And if it doesn't, it just wasn't the right opportunity for you. But I always say go for it and don't tell yourself no. Oftentimes, even when I'm talking to friends, but I don't know if I have what they're looking for, or I don't know if I can do it. But you don't know until you go for it, right? So I would say, that's business, that's career moves, any and everything. Even on the entrepreneurship side, most of what I've done has been new, so it really hasn't been a blueprint for it. And so even with that, you just you go for it, and create your own lane.
I love that. Go for it. Hashtag go for it.
Yes.
So tell us, what books or podcasts do you recommend?
Wow. So I will say I don't do a lot of podcasts, and my friends get on me all the time. I don't. I want to get more into that, Chelsi, but I haven't created a lot of space for it. Now, I will say, I love to read. I love to read. A book that I'm into now, what is the name of this book? And now I'm on the spot and I can't think of the name of it. But it's all about how to ask for what you want. Oh, I can't think of the name of the book. Oh, I'll have to circle back and share it with you.
Okay.
But it's so good in just kind of how you communicate, like strong communication skills, asking exactly for what you want, how you present yourself, just kind of where I'm at professionally.
Right.
And I think as long with everyone else, everyone has kind of been into becoming. And so that has really spoken to my soul. I mean, huge Michelle fan, as I hope the rest of the world is. So that was another recent read that I did as well. Yeah.
Adrienne, I have enjoyed every second of our conversation today.
Yes.
Thank you for just opening up for this transparent, authentic conversation about your journey.
Thank you.
And, my hope with every conversation is that it not only inspires and encourages those sister friends of ours who are watching, but they're challenged.
Yes.
And I hope they're challenged to go for it.
Yes, go for it, ladies. Yes.
So tell the Chats with Chelsi community, if they want to reach out to you, learn more about your ventures, your passion projects, how can they get in contact with you?
Yes. Well, thank you all for being with us today. Chelsi, thank you for your time and for sharing your passion with us as well. I am at Adrienne Chantel at everything. So at Adrienne Chantel on Instagram, same on Facebook. Email is adriennechantel@gmail.com, and I am open for conversation and dialogue. So if you want to chat about anything, just hit me up and I'll be there.
Well, I appreciate it. Ladies, hashtag go for it. Okay?
Yes.
So whenever you decide to step out and go for it, use that hashtag. I'll be checking to see.
I need to check that. Yeah.
You going to do all that God has called you to do.
Yes.
As you know, we are in donation time for the second annual Mother to Be celebration. So if you haven't, please head over to lifewithchelsi.com. There you can make a cash donation, shop our Amazon registry, or reach out to me if you want to donate new or pre-loved items. Again, we want to bless the socks off of those expecting moms that we will have at that baby shower. I'm grateful for each of you. We are praying for you. May you go for it. I'm just going to be saying that always. Go for it. Again, thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Chats with Chelsi. Have a great week.